Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Glad to have everyone here tonight. And if you'll stand, we'll have a word of prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mr. Madden's going to lead us in a word of prayer.
Let us pray. Oh, wondrous God, we come to you this afternoon thankful. Thankful for the blessing of getting our new year started off right with our kids. And Lord, I'm also thankful for the opportunity to be in this room where we have an opportunity to impact our kids every day in a positive way, where we help them reach their dreams and we help them, dear Lord, to aspire to what it is you ask them to be. Oh, glorious God, I just simply ask that you allow us to have the strength and the spirit to follow you, even where steps we cannot see, and have an opportunity to have faith in you that it's going to be good. Lord, we thank you for always being with us. Be with our PSD family, and be with us all. In your loving name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, under routine matters, roll call, let the minutes reflect that all are present for this meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to interject that we amend this evening's agenda to include a TAD discussion. I'd like to make that motion right now.
Do I hear a first and a second that we do amend the agenda to include a TAD discussion? Mays, second. Ms. Carter.
Let me clarify one thing real quick. Are y'all asking for it to be placed on under item 5 action items as a subparagraph F for a vote or merely for discussion?
On the
Mr. Madden.
action items.
Action item.
Okay. So the motion is to include it as a subparagraph F under action items. Just making sure that's clear for the record.
So we'll just list that as a and
TAD resolution.
TAD resolution. You gotta have a vote. Okay, then I need a motion to add action item F, the TAD resolution, to the agenda.
So moved.
Okay. Second. Okay. That's Morgan and Mays. Okay. Any other discussion on
Yes.
adding an agenda item?
No, not adding. No. The discussion on adding this item.
Yes, discussion
Okay,
on.
yes. All right, so first of all, we've never spoken in public about this particular instance as a board, okay? We represent all residents of Polk County, all 46,000 members of Polk County. The constituents outside the city of Cedartown have not had any input whatsoever about this item. I think our due diligence is to allow them to have input and for us to have open discussions on the tab before moving forward for a vote. There is no legal timeline for us to vote today or tomorrow. We can do it in regular order with a discussion happening on the first Tuesday work session meeting with a vote happening on the second Tuesday of February. And right now it's being brought up to a vote right now, and we have had zero input, zero discussion in front of the public about this issue. And we have to do our due diligence with every item that comes before us before we make a vote.
Mr. Williams?
I'd also like to say that we were provided this resolution, I think it was on Friday, and the board has yet to have any discussions with legal counsel in regards to what is in this resolution. And I too feel that we would be negligent in our responsibilities and our duties if we force or push a vote on this issue without one, having any further discussions with legal counsel to the specifics of this resolution moving forward. And it saddened me that the process we've taken to get to where we're at with this.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to say that, you know, we have heard from the public. They went to the polls and agreed that the city of Cedartown would go along with the TAD. So they've actually, we've heard from the public. So I think that we already know what the public desires here in Polk County and city of Cedartown. And I'm just saying, we've already heard from them.
Yeah, on the vote. So it went to the primary in March, I think it was, and the resolution failed. It went to a vote again in November, and it passed.
Yes.
With 500 and roughly 30-something votes versus 440-something votes. So it was 83 votes that passed this in the city of Cedartown alone. And we don't only represent the city of Cedartown. All right, we represent the entire Polk School District, and our main mission is the education of the child in Polk School District. That's our mission. I'm all for economic development. I'll say that again. I am for economic development. I want Polk County to be prosperous because that makes our citizens prosperous and that makes our students prosperous. But we as a board, we have to look at the county as a whole, and as a whole, how is this going to affect us moving forward? Okay, you're right, City of Cedartown put it on the ballot, it was approved the second time. But you're looking at 900 total votes versus, I think there's 22,000 registered voters in Polk County, give or take. So you're looking at 900 versus the 42,000 that we have to answer to, and we have to explain what we're doing and why we're doing it and how it's going to affect our education process moving forward.
Mr. Madden?
Madam Chair, I just want to say too, the only item before us currently at this very moment is, do we even want to have this on the agenda for tonight? Okay?
For a vote.
For a vote tonight under an action item for a TAB resolution. Before we start getting into specifics of the resolution, I'd like for us to go ahead and try to make a decision if we even want it tonight. So let's even talk about it tonight. So with that information, Madam Chairman, I ask for a call for the question.
Okay. At this time, we have a motion and a second to add action item, the TAD resolution, to action item F on the agenda. All in favor of adding this item to the agenda by a raise of hands? All opposed? Okay, we will discuss the TAD resolution as an action item F at the end of our action items. Okay. All right, next is the approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion that we approve the minutes as written from our last meeting? Mr. Madden, second by Ms. Mays. All in favor? Our next item of business is public participation. Mr. Lumpkin.
Yeah, there's no request to address the board tonight.
Okay. Next, we have our action items. The first item, Mr. Superintendent, is the financial.
Yes, I'm gonna have the Executive Director of Finance, Tammy, to present that for this month. Ms. Allred is out sick today, so.
As of November 2025, the district has completed 41.67% of the fiscal year. Revenues were 12.39% less than expected. Expenditures were 12.03% less than projected. And the general fund had a balance of $9,233,839.56.
And I recommend the board approve the financial report for November.
Okay, hearing the recommendation from the superintendent, do I hear a motion, Mr. Madden and Mr. Morgan, for accepting the financials as read? All in favor? Okay, our next order of business is Polk Family Connection.
Yes, this is something that we have to do each year, and we're glad to work with Polk Family Connection. So I recommend the board approve that Polk School District be the fiscal agent for the Polk Family Connection for the period of July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2027.
Do I hear a motion we accept the recommendation from the superintendent, Ms. Dr. Carter and Mr. Morgan? All in favor? Our next item of business is field trips.
Yes, we've got an overnight field trip with CHS Wrestling postseason to Morrow, coming up in February. I recommend the board approve that.
Hearing the recommendation, do we approve the motion and a second to approve the field trips? Mr. Madden is up first. Do we have a second? Ms. Carter. Okay, all in favor? It's unanimous. Next item is intercom system at Young's Grove.
Yes, we have a few schools that we're slowly getting the intercoms replaced because the technology that's needed for what we use it for, and I recommend the board approve replacing the existing intercom system at Youngs Grove Elementary with Bogan Nyquist intercom system, the amount of $81,738.17 with Hog Technology Systems.
Do I hear a recommendation from the board we accept? Okay, Ms. Mays. And second? Or second? Mr. Madden. All in favor of replacing?
Can I ask a question, quick
Yes.
question on that? Is that gonna be a splost expenditure, or is that gonna be general operation?
Where's Nathan?
Part of it will be from a grant, and another part will be from the construction fund that we've got.
Okay.
Oh, right. That's really good.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Raise your hand. Okay, the next item of business is the resolution of our capital overlay fund.
Yes, I'm gonna get Jeff Little to just give you an update on this. But I recommend the board approve the resolution to request a revision of, or withdrawal of an application for capital outlay funding of the FY '23 application for Rockmart High School as presented. And I'm gonna let Jeff can kind of talk a little bit about that.
When we built the Fine Arts Center at Rockmart High School, we put the green room in, and we were allowed to get some funding from the Department of Education to assist us with the construction of the building. And when we vacated a room in the high school, we're having to justify what we're using that room for. And so we're having to just have a resolution passed. We're basically just classifying some space over there and assigning classroom numbers to that area for our inventory to reflect the amount of classrooms we have on that campus. And to do that, we have to have a resolution passed by you all. And that's basically what this consists of. And we have had a resolution come before you, and it was passed. It was presented. The state did not want to go that route. They wanted us to go another route. So this is just correcting that. That's what it amounts to.
So I recommend the board approve this resolution.
Any other discussion about the resolution? If not, do I hear a motion to accept the resolution? Mr. Morgan, Mr. Madden, first and second. Okay, all in favor? It's unanimous. Okay. The next order of business is the TAD resolution. I think we want to have discussion
I
on
make
this.
a motion that we table this item pending further discussion and advice from legal counsel. Is, like I said, we've had no input from legal counsel as far as the review of this resolution or agreement, and I think it behooves us to have further discussion with our legal counsel before we take any votes on this tonight. So I make a motion to table this pending further discussion and advice from legal counsel.
You just treat it as a motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
Motion and a second. There's a motion and a second to table this discussion to a later time after further discussion. Do I hear, well, I've heard a motion and a second. All in favor of tabling this to a later time by show of hands? Okay. All in favor of having this discussion tonight, show of hands. 4-2. We will have the discussion tonight. So at this point, I know anybody that would like to say something or share something about the TAD resolution. I know we've heard a couple of comments, but if there are other comments, please feel free to take the floor at this time and say.
I'd like to say something.
In regards to that, there has not been any input. There was 3 public meetings that the whole county was invited, county commissioners and the school board, and we went. So there has been public discussion. So to say there hasn't been is wrong. There has been. So the way I see it, and you can agree or disagree, it really is up to you. We either have to look at sources of revenue for funding schools, because we're looking at, we did a senior tax exemption, which we worked on for 5 years. This board worked hard for 5 years to try to get that tax reduction for our senior citizens, and Mr. Annabatarte and Mr. Kelly finally helped us get that. So we're gonna take a hit there. So the only other alternative we have besides raising millage rates again is looking for sources of revenue in sales tax dollars. And this is a revenue of sales tax dollars. And there was public meetings. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, there was public meetings, right? Primarily, it centered around what Cedartown was doing, so the rest of the county had no idea how this was gonna affect them down the road, number one. Number two, on the sales tax revenue, you're assuming that a East Watch will pass again in the future. We all saw how the bond referendum went down in flames, okay? Do we need East Watch to pass? Absolutely, we need East Watch to pass, because we're gonna have to be building some schools shortly. On the tax revenue side, generally, in PAD districts, in small communities like we are, it's not an increase of taxes, sales taxes. It's a shift in sales taxes. So people that were normally shopping at Walmart, Kroger, places like that, those taxes are just shifted from those over to the new facility. So it's not you're not getting all this gain, you're just getting a shift. So what'll happen if East Watts does not pass, we're losing out on tax revenue, and we're losing out on East Watts revenue. So it's a lose-lose if an East Watts does not pass.
I respect your opinion, but I don't see it as a lose-lose, because if it's not developed, we're not gonna gain any more property tax on it. And if I read right, when I'm looking at the Georgia Assembly, they're looking at trying to do away with Georgia state income tax and property tax. So where are school systems gonna gain funding from?
And you're assuming that this is not ever gonna be developed. If we don't sign on to this right now, it's never gonna be developed.
I think we can discuss it till the cows come home, but
Well, we are gonna discuss it until the cows come, and I like your analogy about the cows coming home, so.
I like to
I
interject.
think we go ahead and just have a vote and be done with it.
I like to inject, okay, y'all, I grew up in Cedartown, I remember the days, anybody who grew up in Cedartown, remember the days when Cedartown was booming? There was a smell of popcorn downtown, it was just busy all downtown. And, I came back, Cedartown was like, wow, pretty much dead. People used to come through Hiram and see grass and turn around and go back the other way. Now people are coming, they're coming into Cedartown. And I think that with the TAD and the development, it's going to bring more people into Cedartown, more revenue, and Cedartown can be like it was in the past. And I remember those good days. Anybody else remember those? I do. I mean, those were great days. And I'd like to see those great days come back in Cedartown again. And I think it's right now, it's the beginning of the boom. Cedartown is right in the middle of what? You can go to Alabama that way, you can go to Tennessee the other way, Florida. So we were like right in the middle of 4 different directions. So people are going to hum in the Cedartown. We don't have to worry about any taxes or anything else in the future. That's my belief. In fact, that's what I know.
Mr. Madden?
I have gone to, if not all of them, I went to all the discussions, and I appreciate the city of Cedartown having those public discussions. And I had plenty of questions. I had the opportunity to also talk with the developers and the independent consultant that the city of Cedartown hired to estimate the impact of a TAD, which was KB Consultants. So there was an independent review of that that assessment and what the impacts were presented. And there were differences in the numbers that each one of the developer proposed, as well as what KB proposed. One of the things that makes me for this is the simple fact that we're having a piece of property that currently is not generating any tax revenue other than about $1,200 a year, and it's gonna jump up. The whole TAD district currently does 109 because it proposed at having Home Depot and Los Abuelas and Chick-fil-A and the housing development is all in this TAD. Tax revenues are at 109,000 based on 2025 numbers. At the end of the TAD, 21 years is the estimate that KB had in their package that was given to us at public session on the 16th. That figure jumps to $832,000 in 21 years. Now, it could be sooner, but that's what the projection in that piece of paper shows. With that being shown that way, the difference in the timeline is when, of course, they got to build the thing, and then they've got to come in and generate the money for a certain set of bonds to be paid back. Let's talk about the bonds for just a minute. Is being proposed are revenue bonds. The revenue bonds do not require any governmental entity backing it, okay? Bondholders buying, the interest rates on those things are different because of the risk assumed with them, and there's none by this governmental entity here at Polk School District. Matter of fact, in the current proposal, there's not any by the city of Cedartown or Polk County. So, to me, this is an opportunity to bring a developer to town, to bring in some retailers that are really strong retailers and have nationwide presence. And it does impact us at Polk School District, which is what we're here to do. I've spoken with a developer, and I appreciate his candidness in what he shared with him. When I shared with him, this does increase our sales tax dollar, which is increasing our ability for bonding capacity, which in turn means if somebody wants something new done at Youngs Grove Elementary School, we might have the funds to cover if we have to go add a classroom or two, as an example. Okay, that's where it is the impact on us. It does not help us on M&O, which is the budget all of us have to wring our hands on every year. We're different than the municipalities here in Georgia on that simple fact. So sales tax dollars doesn't go to help salaries in Polk School District. That's a grant. That's a toughie. Okay? And I'll just tell you, that is tough for us on that regard. But to me, the opportunity for that to come, and something called a halo effect, which when you look at the TAD where it's currently proposed, it is right there across from Home Depot on Davis Road and in that neighborhood right there on the corner of the bypass. But what about the other properties along the bypass? If these retailers can prove that there is money in them there Polk County, other retailers could come.
Yep.
They will buy the properties and not have to have the benefit of a tax allocation district. When they themselves go to the people who finance their buildings, they can say, look, there is an opportunity truly here for us. Not much speculation for us in this regard, because look, it happened for Publix. Look, it happened for other retailers. So when we get those sales, we're not letting go of property tax dollars and the impact that they will make when they come. But somebody has to go make a move to see if Polk County is going to be doing it or not. Okay? Is there an impact to local? One question that I've already had brought to me, it was a good question. Is it going to impact our local people who are our local store owners, our local business owners who struggle every day to make payroll to hire our folks? It is. It's going to impact it. Obviously, it's going to impact it. Okay? Makes them better. Makes it go away. That's a decision for each business owner. I can't do anything about that. I'll try to keep going where I think is best and where I enjoy to go. But I will tell you, I'm for this. I think for the kids of Polk County, it allows me to tell Anna and Lily that we've got choices here. And then when they get an opportunity to go off to school, when they get 18, which is happening very quickly in my house, when they go off to college, it's going to make Cedartown even more attractive for them to come back to, I think. And that's important to me too, because I've got my family farm, like a couple others on this board have their property. I want them to come back and not go outside 278 and never come back. And I want that to be attractive to them too. So that's why I'm for this motion to accept the TAD resolution as provided for Polk School District.
I'd like to say
Ms.
something.
Carter, and then
When Bernard said that, you know, we are at this crossroads, and we are, between some major metropolitan areas, and we have a tremendous highway system coming through our county, so there's a lot of people. We had a board training last Thursday, and the lady who did the training was from a very small community, Ivy, wasn't it?
Correct.
Ivy, Georgia.
Yeah, Ivy,
But
Georgia.
she had been through Cedartown. This was not her first time to come to Cedartown, but she had been through Cedartown from a whole nother part. And that is true. That happens a lot. And you were saying people coming, you know, we use it going, people go through. A lot of people come in, and that's surprising. It was surprising to me the first time I heard it. But it's true. I know people who live in Lindale who come to Cedartown to shop. Why would they come to Cedartown to shop rather than go 6 miles into Rome? Well, traffic, congestion, busy stores, trouble finding parking places. We have some traffic. You know, we have some people. We do occasionally at Christmas have issues with parking. No, not seriously. But from Alabama, it's shocking how many people from Center and Piedmont come into Polk County or go through Polk County, but truly who come to Cedartown to do their shopping. They would rather go to our Walmart, they would rather go to our Kroger, because it's more convenient, and we have better selection. A Publix is a great big deal to us, not because I don't love my Kroger, and I do, and I will continue to it's less than a mile from my house. I'll continue to go, but I will also enjoy having a Publix for other reasons than the reasons I enjoy the Kroger. I love the bakery. I love lots of things about the Publix store. The deli. You know, you could go on and on and on about it. So I absolutely do think that this is the right thing, and it's not just because of the business opportunities, of which there are many. I look at it with my grandson as the fact that he's a baby. Okay, so in 21 years, he'll be grown up and out of the house, and so will this help him while he is in school? I do believe that the increase in sales tax, I know I'll spend more. I spend a lot of money in Rome.
Yeah.
Because I have to go to Rome to get to the Publix, or I have to go to Rome to get to some of the other stores. I like TJ Maxx. I like to go there. So I will spend money, and it will take some money. And I know that's just a personal thing, and I understand. But I've looked at this from a lot of different angles, and I do support the TAD. I would support it if it was in Rockmart. I'd support it if it was in
Arrogant.
I'm not going to say the other one. In Aragon. Yes, I would.
Mr. Hopkins.
Yeah, so
Andy.
every time we lose a dime, and Mark can tell you, if we lose a dime right now, we gotta go find a dime. I mean, it's just, that's just where we're at, right? If we lose revenue, we've gotta find revenue. So basically, if we lose revenue, it's not a lot, it's no future gains for 21 years on property tax, okay? It's not, I say loss, but what I'm referring to is there's no gains in property taxes over time. And everybody's seen what their property values have done in the last couple of years. I know House Bill 581 capped it at whatever percentage that was, but still, you're looking at 21 years, if it's 3%, you know, that's 65% increase in tax revenues over the next, 20 years or so. So that money's not coming in. We have to find that money somewhere, right? Now, we splice, another splice comes through, tax revenues, we will be getting splice funds off of that. how much is transitioned or how much is new, you know, we don't know. Okay, that's a gamble. But we could be sitting here in Polk School District with the nicest facilities in the state and not a teacher in them because we don't have the money to raise the salaries and keep people where they're at. Okay? Those funds, SPLOST funds, are allocated for specific capital projects, not salaries and benefits and things like that. And that's where we're hurting right now on maintaining good teachers because other counties have a lot more revenue, a lot more tax base that can support their teachers that way. Plus, the townhomes that are being built behind the Home Depot that's currently in this tab, they're gonna be locked in for 21 years on their property value. How can I go out in the middle of the county and go, hey, I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to go 15, 16, 17, 18 mills, and your assessed values went up 3, 6, 9, 12%, because we've gotta find that revenue somewhere. But you guys over here, you're good for 21 years. And I just don't, I don't think the rest of the county, that's what I said before, I don't think the rest of the county, Rockmart City, Aragon City, has had an opportunity to understand how this is going to affect them, okay, moving forward. Because, am I wrong? We're going to have to find that revenue somewhere, just like we got to find the revenue for the senior tax exempt, right? And I know you're making as many cuts as possible, trying to keep that at a minimum, but it's going to have to happen. So, by doing this, we're locking in those values, which is property tax values, for 21 years, and that's a guess. Could be 25 years. We don't know, right? So it's a huge gamble for us as a school board that represents all of Polk County versus, you know, the city of Cedartown entity or a Polk County entity. Okay, we're a little different. You know, city of Cedartown represents city of Cedartown. Polk County represents just Polk County. We, as a school board, represent everybody from county border to county border, and we have to look at that when we're making these decisions, right? So that's a problem, big problem I have. Those townhouses back there, they're locked in, but I'm gonna have to go out here and tell somebody in the county that we're gonna have to raise your property taxes because we gotta find that money somewhere. Hoping that down the road this pays off, right? Hoping, gambling with money that should be going to students.
Mr. Williams.
Let me first just say, because I know we've got representatives from the city of Cedartown and the developers who are present at this meeting, I am for development. I am not against this project in regards to the city of Cedartown's growth and development, and I'm not against the developer in your process of crunching the numbers. I've done real estate appraisals for 27, 28 years, and I constantly crunch return on investment numbers every day. Cost to construct. Everything's gone up. Everything's expensive. I understand the situation that the city of Cedartown is in with development, and I also understand the situation that the developer is in cost in making those numbers work. Here's where I have a problem with it. As a school board, we are representing the kids of this school and the employees of this school. And although it may be convenient to have more places to shop in a downtown municipality, we can't be taken in and not take into account our own financial situation in regards to the fact that we've had to take away pay from 12-month employees in the past year. Are we going to have to raise our millage rate? It is my understanding that we are, our teachers are paid less than most other school systems around us. That's my understanding that our step raises stop at 21 years when most other school systems go to 25 plus. Whether, not to open up a can of worms, but even when we had our calendar discussion, teacher retention, one of the big items is we can't pay our teachers enough to keep them to stay and ask them to do the extra day's worth of work, which bugs me tremendously. I've got a whole list of questions that I would have loved to have had in a called meeting possibly, but I would like to ask these questions and address these, because I think these are serious concerns that, as a board, we have yet to have any discussion whatsoever. And, I mean, I guess the first question would be, has our legal counsel had sufficient time to review the resolution agreement and discuss it with the board?
I've had enough time to look at it, and it's a general resolution that says that we're agreeing that whatever increment that we would normally get from our taxes would be, any increase would be paid over toward, would be allocated just like the cities would be or the counties would be if the county agrees to do that too. So, and there are no numbers in there because there can't be. I mean, nobody knows what those are gonna be, but I've
So-
had enough time to look at it, and I don't have an issue with it.
As far as, what are the terms and conditions of the resolution regarding percentage of Polk School District involvement, future use of the TAD fund, dissolution or agreement of terms upon, the bond being met? Do we know those?
Well, can you ask the question, let's go one by one there, say those, the first one.
In regards to the agreement that we've had, do we have any issues or concerns that we need to discuss, as it is very vague in its writing and what we're going to be held to? As far as the resolution, does this say that we are giving up 100% of school taxes with this agreement?
No, it does not. It does with the allocation of the increase of the value. So there's establishment of an incremental base, okay, which you see on item D under the second or third whereas. So that's the 2025 value of the existing property, okay? So as those values of the existing properties and the future property located within the TAD development goes, the increase in that value is what we're giving up. So we currently, as you heard me say a minute ago, about the 109,000 that we currently are getting, that's not going to change for the next life of the TAD, okay?
So we're not giving up
We're
all
not
the school
giving up.
taxes on existing developments and buildings, but are we giving up future property value increases in any revenue that we would obtain from them?
We would for the duration of the length of the TAD.
Has the school board done any financial studies to see the impact of lost revenue from freezing those properties, property values potentially for the next 21 years?
Yeah, well, they showed a difference there, Drew, and of course, based on the development of the Publix building and those structures and how the development is made, we're going from 100,000, roughly 119,000, to what the value would be estimated at 20 years from now at 800 and something thousand is what we're looking at as a tax that we would generate off that property. So again, that's at a 20-year increment. So you could say that the step up over that period of time is what we'd be losing out on.
So-
And take that difference possibly.
As our
That would
finance,
be what we're, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
So in 21 years, that property value, just specifically for this development, would revert to the existing market value. However, have we done any studies as far as, in recent years, what Home Depot's school taxes have increased through the past 10 years, Tractor Supply?
I looked at Walmart's value was frozen for approximately 4 years on their tax value. And of course, the change in the property tax Walmart generated was because of the millage rate change. But their base value had not changed. And that's commercial property. Commercial properties, according to Michelle Horst, what she shared with me, those are a little bit slower to change on their side, is what she told me. There's more sales, obviously, on personal homes and residences. And so the sales ratio studies that they base the assessment changes on, basically, are more driven by primary residences.
In my research, it appears that some of those properties have gone up anywhere from 3 to 10% in market value, which has been anywhere from 100 and something thousand to over $1 million. So that is money we will be giving up on those existing properties. Have we, if we sign this agreement, does this mean that, are we all in 100%? Do we have room to negotiate what percent of our school taxes we're willing to give up?
One question I have, and I think the answer to that is, by my understanding, this actually that is before us. I'm not an attorney, nor do I sleep in a Holiday Inn last night. But my understanding of this is just where we are freezing the property values for the school system's portion of the values of those properties located within that proposed TAD district. That is all we're agreeing to.
Well, I think what Drew is asking is it 100% of those values, or is it gonna be 50% of those values? I mean, or 20% of those values? My understanding, TADs a lot of time negotiate on the percentage of involvement.
I think if we agree to this, then we get to sit at the table if there are those discussions.
Which brings me back to, are there any concerns or further discussion that should be had to ensure full clarity in the resolution as it currently stands, as it is very vague? And are we leaving ourselves as a school board vulnerable in pushing this vote through to what we have been presented with? Or do we have the opportunity to come back and negotiate terms, or once this is signed, we don't have any room for discussion in regards to the resolution?
Well, again, what you'd be giving up would be just, again, the increase in value. I mean, it would be all of the increase in value from what I understand now. Now, whether that's negotiable or not, y'all can certainly talk to the city and the developer about that if you want to do that, and that's kind of a gray area, so y'all can certainly talk to them, but the way it's phrased now is that it's phrased in terms of where the area is and what the base value is and what the school district's tax allocation increment would be, which would just be the increase in value over the next 20 years.
So what I'm hearing is we haven't had those discussions with the city of Cedartown or the developer in relationship to the terms of our agreement.
So which TAD have you heard about that it was less than that? Was like Bartow, one of the ones in Atlanta? I mean,
There's 9 TADs that have been developed in the city of Atlanta, 7 of which are currently still ongoing. 2 have failed. Of the 7, there has been extensions requested toward the end of the bond being met, which is another issue that we need to have aware of, is potentially toward the end of this, who has control of the TAD fund, who has control of what happens to that TAD
I don't think
fund.
I worded my question well, because what I was asking is, did any of those negotiate? I mean, I've looked at several and I've not heard of any negotiation on the percentage of change on the tax
Also, in my research, I did see that
increase.
some developers and schools in their negotiations and part of putting together an agreement, and I don't know how they did it, the specifics of everything,
Yeah.
but there were school systems that needed heat and air put in that was negotiated in it. There was sports facilities that were upgraded as an agreement of part of that. I mean, we've got representatives here, and I understand that at the county meeting, those same questions were posed as far as what are the terms of is it 100%, or is there negotiating room with the involvement that we intend to take?
Well, if that's the question we don't know, is it possible, Chair, that we can ask, there's representatives from the city of Cedartown
Yes.
here? If we can ask, can we ask them the question? Is that all right to do?
Sure.
All right.
We asked Mr.
Mr. Guzman?
Where do I start? Alright, so the city of Cedartown is set as the redevelopment agency for the TAD district. That was set in stone, that was adopted back in the December meetings for the commission after creating the redevelopment plan. If this is approved tonight, this is, Mr. Bannon stated, freezes the values for the TAD district. It has been the city commission's intention, because they are the redevelopment agency, is to include the school district and the county as a seat at the table, because there hasn't been a final decision on the number of the bond amount and the years. Now, what everybody has been hearing is 20 years at around $10 million. We don't know for sure what that is until an underwriter comes in, does the underwriting process, which will take a couple of months, and then determine, okay, with the negotiations with the developer, what does that amount come down to? And then, is it gonna be around the 20-year time frame? Now, the city commission has also said as redevelopment agency, they're not trying to go past 20 years from when the Publix is open. So that 20-year time frame is pretty well set by, and that's a unanimous decision by the city commission that they've stated. So yes, TADs can go up to 30 years. TADs can extend past the 20-year time frame if the bond is not paid off in time. But like in the city of Rome, the bonds have been paid off early. The Olive Garden district just got media coverage about 2 months ago, I think, because that district got paid off early. As long as the property tax comes in as it should within the TAD district, the developments are built out, that's how the underwriters set up their bond costs, and then making sure that that bond gets paid off in that 20-year time frame. It is ideally, what we're hoping for is that it's paid off sooner than 20 years, because it's not just the school district that would get, I think what Mr. Madden said was the $800,000 in property taxes. City of Cedartown and Polk County government will also get a huge boost in property taxes once the TAD district is paid off. So yes, we're relying on the sales tax. Yes, for Cedartown and Polk County government, we get two benefits. We get the lost penny, which is the operations where we can't pay salaries, and we get the SPLOST penny. But we don't get the whole penny like the school district. We get a percentage. That's why with the county government, we always tell them, and really honestly with City of Rockmart benefits because in all your counties in Georgia, your penny is split up by different percentages for your cities and your county. That's for SPLOST and LOST. And so we have estimates and projections on how much City of Cedartown would gain by the sales tax, how much the Polk County government, how much City of Rockmart, even City of Aragon. It's a small piece, but it's still something that they get out of the project through the sales tax revenue. So there are a lot of different components, and yes, TADs are all different. I look more closer to the City of Rome developments. They've got multiple that they've had a huge success on, so I like to emulate theirs rather look at some, Atlanta's got mega projects like the Atlantic Station. People always brag about how that was a big TAD project. We'll never have an Atlantic Station here. That's not realistic.
Isn't that one that has failed?
That has not failed. Their Publix is closing because of other issues, but the TAD bond has been paid off. But it hasn't failed. I don't know of any TAD projects that have failed, because if that happens, then there's a serious problem in the underwriting markets and in the bond markets, and then those investors that invest into bonds would be terrified to invest into future TAD projects in the state of Georgia. And Carrollton just initiated and got a TAD bond on their project for their downtown, so if TADs failed, then truly investors should be terrified to invest in them out in the open market.
Do we know what this bond is going to be risk at? Is it low risk, medium risk, high risk?
No. Now, if the city were to back it, obviously it would be the lowest risk, and that's where you get the lowest interest rates. But again, the city commission, and I can speak for them in this instance because they've said it publicly and to other people in the community. The city's not backing the bond. There's also where investor-led private backing is done for a bond project, and that comes with a higher interest rate. That's why these numbers are unknown. If the city backs it, you can get a much higher amount for the bond. If the city doesn't back it, well, then it goes to private markets, and it's a higher interest rate. Yeah, it probably has a little bit higher risk, but you still have the TAD district that guarantees property tax revenues go into the TAD project. Now, the way the underwriters have explained it to me is the underwriters can't assume that everything is built at in the TAD development. There's still out parcels in that TAD development that are vague for all the site plans that have been demonstrated. When the bond folks do their underwriting, they're assuming those don't get built anytime soon. If they do, that's even better for the bond. The bond gets paid faster because you have new buildings, new property taxes that get put in there from the city, county, school district. That's how the bonds get paid off faster, and that's how they got paid off faster in Rome. Like the Olive Garden development, that one's just shot completely up. They even somehow put in a dang Chick-fil-A storage building, I call it, in there. I mean, that's property taxes anyways. That's how that one got paid off faster. It's just, if you get development faster in a project, but when they do their underwriting, they're assuming the Publix, they're assuming the Marshalls, they're assuming the Ross, and everything, the brick and mortar that was already presented by the developers. And if y'all got any questions for them, they're here, but I'm just giving from the city perspective.
So it sounds like there still are a lot of unknown parts to this as far as we don't know what that percentage rate is going to be. on that bond. We don't know where
Yeah.
that's going to fall.
And that can't be determined unless the underwriters know, is the school district participating, is the county participating, the city? They're not gonna get to work unless, and I've asked them that question, can we get to work? But they're not going to do it unless we have firm commitments about the base level being frozen.
And the firm
Now-
commitment is this resolution right
That's
here.
correct.
So in committing to those unknowns, and I know that's nothing that you can control, do we leave ourselves open, or is there an out for the school system if we decide we don't think that those terms are sufficient enough or worth the best interest of our kids?
This is a resolution. A resolution is generally a statement of kind of the intent of a school board at this time. I mean, if y'all wanted to withdraw the resolution at some point, I think you'd have the right to do that, but that would come at a later time when these discussions are being had. It's not necessarily a binding ordinance but again, a resolution is generally non-binding. I'll say that.
And as this school board thing mentioned, I mean, hypothetically, worst case scenario, if the Cedartown city government decided to go rogue and the city commissioner said, you know what, we got everybody's vote, we're gonna go 30 years, the full max term, that's where he comes in saying that the resolution is non-binding. I mean, obviously, of all of a sudden the talk is, well, we're going full steam ahead with 30 years, I presume that the school district and the county would then say, well, those weren't terms that we talked about originally. Everybody's talked about this 20-year term from when the publics get started, not a 30-year wait. That's just one example.
Who is in control of the TAD fund?
So it's a city-created redevelopment powers. So the city of Cedartown designated itself as the redevelopment agency. So what happens is people that pay their property taxes, like townhome development, they're gonna get a tax bill, they're not gonna know any difference. They make their payments to the county tax assessor, and then the city of Cedartown, we collect our own taxes, and they make their payments like that. The TAD base that's frozen, the 109,000, that will still be allocated to the school district, to the county. Well, the county has a different millage rate than the city. Then there's a city amount that's sent to them. What happens is, on the background, as the redevelopment agency, that increment goes into the TAD bond, to the fund. That fund is used to pay off the bond. But because the city's not backing it, there's not liability. If it can't cover its payment, the liability is not on the city, as long as it doesn't back the bond. Like I said, there's some jurisdictions that do back it. If it can't make its payment, that falls back on the investors that end up losing their money on the bond. But that's why the underwriters are so strict, why there's a huge reserve fund that's built in when it's not backed by the city. That has been talked about with the underwriters before. If it's not backed, there's a big reserve fund that's placed into the bond account. And that's paid for by the increment of the property taxes, the new developments that are there. And then, yes, the increment that comes from Home Depot and all those locations. And that gets me to the townhome development. As of right now, the townhome development has a phase 1, which is 38 units. They have stated that if this Publix project doesn't happen, they're frozen at 38 units. They're basing some of their projections on building more townhomes from what the 178 that was approved based on this project. The people that live in those townhomes, since they're supposed to be owner occupied and for sale, when they get their property tax bills, they're still subject to, if they own their own home, yeah, they're House Bill 581, there's a limit on Consumer Price Index, CPI. There's a CPI index limit. They're still getting that. So if their townhome was valued at $250 and then CPI is 3%, their next year's tax bill will reflect that. They're still getting that. They don't, I mean, we can do a tax bill that says this is a TAD district for full disclosure. There's municipalities and counties that do that. But when they get their tax bill, they're paying that increment. And as they pay an increase because of CPI, that's going into the TAD bond. That's also another method of how the bonds get paid off faster. We know what happened several years ago when commercial, residential, and when all the properties went way up in value, property taxes increased, and also some of these TAD bonds got paid off sooner. I mean, there's a lot of different factors that go into how the bonds get paid off.
So did I hear you say that the developer, if this does not move forward, that developer is not going to?
The townhome developer will stick to their 38 units until there's other projects that come about. So
When you say other projects,
And for example, when solar cycle breaks ground, that hasn't been officially set in stone yet. That's one that's hanging out there that everybody's thinking about. Other projects, if this fails and then 10 years down the road, there's another developer that comes in that wants to do it. I mean, you've got Sunset Valley in the middle of Polk County that has a full platted out master plan and it never got fully built out. Sometimes projects don't get fully built out because it didn't reach expectations.
Do you think that this will have, and for the board, what kind of impact is this gonna have on the county and other city municipalities in regards to the city of Aragon and the city of Rockmart?
I think it's a benefit for them because of the sales tax that comes in. Earlier I mentioned that 1 penny that gets split between city of Rockmart, city of Aragon, and Polk County government. Every 10 years, we have to negotiate what's called lost, and that's a negotiation on how much of that penny we all think we should get. It leads to a lot of fighting, the media loves to cover it, but we all get a percentage. Cedartown is 28.5% of that penny. So we're not getting all of the sales tax from a Publix development. We get 28.5%, county gets 51%, Rockmart gets their percentage, Aragon gets their percentage. Same thing with SPLOST. Every time we do a SPLOST, we have to negotiate with the other jurisdictions and determine, okay, how much of that penny do we think we deserve? Gets into some fights sometimes, but at the end of the day, we sign an agreement and we work together because the SPLOST is critical. It's important for our local governments too. That's how it would affect it. I know somebody made a comment to me one day, it's like, well, what happens if Rockmart decides to ask for a TAD and they get a huge development? Cool. That means Bartow County, because they're right beside Bartow County. I hope some of those huge subdivisions that are being built in Bartow get tired of going to Hiram and decide, well, they'll go into Rockmart and spend whatever money they have to do in a TAD district. But they've still got to go from the beginning. They've got to get Senator Anna Vitarte and Representative Kelly to go to the state legislature, do the resolution, have Governor Kemp sign it, and then go to the voters for their cities. And that's just the process for how the TAD district works.
I do have some concerns that if the city of Rockmart does decide to do a TAD in the commercial district over there where some subdivisions are being proposed as well, that we create an ongoing snowball effect of every developer that comes in here is going to want that same slice of pie. And TADs are to generate growth, increase property values. With that growth in residential homes comes a responsibility of the school system to provide education, which means we will have to provide space for these kids to be educated in, which sales tax would go toward that. However, we're fighting an uphill battle salary-wise with our employees at the present time. So this will put undue pressure on the school system while giving a 20 to 21, 30-year break on potential revenue that we could be used for future expenditures that we are going to incur. As far as the TAD, once the bond is met, what happens with those funds and who has control if that TAD is to be extended out for a longer term?
The TAD districts, when they're set up, they cannot be distinguished until the bond is paid off. That's why the underwriting process is so important, make sure the numbers are right and the term of the years is right. After the TAD is extinguished, everything goes back to normal, that base is abolished, and when somebody pays their property taxes, it goes straight into that jurisdiction's general fund, and it's used as a line item in the budget as property tax revenue.
So I have read and researched that some of these Atlanta city TADs have come back for extensions and votes. So it doesn't just automatically dissolve, or does it say in any of our negotiations that that will take place? And that is another unknown that I think we're faced with as being an investor or creating some sort of subsidy for this
Did your
development.
research indicate whether those are full faith and credit bonds that were issued and those supposedly asking for extension or not?
I didn't. We may ought to ask that.
I didn't know if that was or not, and those that supposedly failed, I didn't know if they did.
Are there any legal issues as far as diverting school tax funds for redevelopment projects? In order to protect the constitutional intent of the school funding and actual operation of public schools, have we reviewed that?
Yeah, there's no risk there.
Has the school district done its own financial study to verify the projections provided by the city of Cedartown and the developer?
Or they're participating in the meetings they provided. We haven't done any independent consulting or auditing of it, and I didn't see it relevant, I didn't.
I didn't see it relevant either.
I wouldn't want to spend the funds to have to expend something and do it a third time.
In the examples of other surrounding TAD development that have been used in the presentations, it appears that within those TAD developments, it's been within single city municipalities in which there's a single school district. Do we foresee issues with this agreement being between a county-wide school district in relationship to other municipalities?
Say the question a little bit slower, I hear slow.
It appears that other TAD developments that have been used as examples, City of Cartersville, City of Rome, those TAD agreements involved a single city municipality and a single city school system that was within that district. We're being asked to be involved in an agreement with a single municipality. However, we represent my district as well, is outside of this municipality. Do we foresee any issues that?
No, I mean, the school district is a taxing entity, just like City of Cedartown, City of Rockmart, Polk County, and, no, I don't see any issue there.
As Polk School District's financial demands and costs increase in the future, are taxpayers going to be burdened with higher taxes to meet the district's needs at the expense of certain businesses and homeowners having relief due to this TAD agreement?
Can't answer that.
Don't know yet.
We
Yes,
don't have the
that-
information, enough information.
But one thing I can share with that possibility, Drew, and my thoughts on that, because that is a question I've come up with, and I'll answer for me anyway. If you look at Polk School District's number of FTE total children in the district, you've already learned that FTE is a function of our funding mechanism with the state. And you probably have also learned that our FTE number has dropped over the last, if not two, I know the last 2 years, is it 3? Or,
As this year it's gone down
yeah, I know this year's gone down, it went down last year.
a little bit.
It went down just a small bit last year, it went down 250 this year. Okay? If people don't see an area to put their, to come and invest in a way of putting their single-family dwellings or coming here for, as evidenced by the fact we have a dropping enrollment in our district too, which I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised that it's dropped based on all the other developments going on. But it has. And that impacts us because the state won't fund when there's not FTE to fund it. And if we want to maintain what we have to maintain for salaries and others, or even do more and above, if we're losing state funding and we're not getting more federal funding, then yeah, if we want to keep it, we either got to lose what we have, or we're going to have to make it up with local dollars.
But do we foresee our cost of meeting our budget increasing, staying the same? And by agreeing to this TAD, are we giving up dollars that could benefit this school system in the short term?
Yeah.
Possibly
I
in the
mean,
short term.
Yes, in the short term.
Possible.
Yes. Looking towards the long term.
So what are we gonna do if Rockmart does a TAD, if Aragon does a TAD? Are we gonna sit right here and force a vote to approve their TADs? Because we're gonna TAD ourselves out of, any money to run a school system pretty quick.
We can develop schools in 20 years possibly. We can come back and,
What if the county wants to do a TAD? Or if we're looking at 3 more TADs in the next 2 years?
True, it's possible. We're going to get the opportunity to say yes or no to each one. This is the first time we've had one brought before.
I know, but if
Where's
we-
the optimism? Have you got any optimism towards the TAD?
I am all
I
for,
just want to know.
I'm all for economic development, but I'm also all for educating
And
kids,
if
and we
those things
represent.
came to be, we
That's why
would
we here.
attend those meetings, we would listen, and we would ask questions the way we have this time, and then we would come to our best decision at that point. But I don't think we can sit here right now and say, if tomorrow Rockmart calls and wants to, we can't answer that
Can't
right
answer
here.
those questions.
We don't know what they'd be, I mean, it would be
even if they-
totally hypothetical what we were talking about.
And even if
So
they
I
did,
think-
I mean, you're not under any obligation to participate. It's
Exactly.
like, you know, I mean, legally, you're not under any obligation to participate in this one either.
Right.
So it's
Yes, it's
voluntary on
Yeah,
the
you guys need to stop filibustering here, we need to move
So
out.
if
We're
I
not
don't hear-
filibustering.
This is the first time we've had the opportunity to talk about this on the board meeting in public. The first
We
time.
already talked about it.
We
already-
talked about it.
I mean, the
but
meeting
we
was held,
didn't-
where were
we
you?
didn't-
I mean,
Nobody, I mean, I haven't talked to anybody in my district that realized the
they
impact.
had 3
this was gonna
meetings,
have.
Jeff, where were you? I mean,
Yeah, I was at them, I was here, we talked about it, I was here when the developer came, but what I'm saying is, us as a board to discuss this, how it affects the entire school district, okay? If it was a Cedartown school system, and it was that school system, and we were that board, it'd be a different story on what we're looking at, right? But we're not, we're the entire county, and we gotta look at how this is gonna affect the entire county
every
as a
decision
whole.
we make is how it affects the kids totally, and the entire county, every little decision that we make.
And this is a gamble, and I think, Britt, you
Well,
even said this
I
is
use
a
the
gamble.
word, yeah, it's a gamble.
It's a
You can
gamble,
take
so we're
any-
gambling
there
with
ain't-
the
there ain't
money.
nothing that's promised. I mean, gee whiz, tomorrow, I mean, could be a hurricane. I mean, you know, you gotta be optimistic about some things and have some faith, and not just be pessimistic, well, this won't work, this won't work. You know, I believe it'll work, and I think, everybody, well, I should say, everybody on this board should be concerned about the kids and future growth of Polk County. It's gonna bring in more industry, it's gonna bring in more funds, it's gonna bring in all the funds that we need, and
But we're
I
not
can't worry about the future.
Have we
we're not gonna see those funds for 20-something years.
Have we analyzed the growth that has taken place in Polk County over the last 5 years? There are pockets of growth, including this specific area that has new development going on. Which brings up the but-for clause. You have your numbers to go by. You know what you can and can't do. I look at our finances and unfortunately, I know what we can and can't do financially, and that's the issues I have, that this meeting, this vote was proposed for the 1st of February, and second Tuesday of February, and now it's the last minute, just because we have a consensus or poll of votes due to sidebar conversations before we entered this meeting, that we were gonna push this through without having any discussions. We were here on the calendar. You respectfully gave time to table that motion to have further discussion, and the board had time to sit down in a called meeting and discuss the issues. I respectfully ask that we table this pending further discussions with our legal counsel on any possibilities and unknowns or unintended consequences that we may be getting ourselves into by forcing this vote at today's meeting.
Well, at this point, do we have any points that you feel like we have not made up until this point?
Got one more, but you're not gonna like it.
Okay.
Have we tainted the process as the developer has had individual contact and conversation with board members? And do we have ethics committee and process of handling possible violations? There's been sidebar conversations with the developer and members of this board that other members, myself and Jeff, have not had any information or contact with. As far as the school board, it says, school board members should not take any private action that would compromise the board or school system and administration. And if there's any conflicts of interest, those members must announce their potential conflicts of interest before the board has taken any action.
My understanding, the contact has been voluntary. If you have any questions, these men have made themselves available to us with our questions. Now, as far as trying to sway me any direction, I've not had anyone approach me for that, not in one meeting or in one conversation. So if somebody else has, And if you've been approached in a way, then we would have to take that in a different direction, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, yeah, but I'm assuming that.
So if we have an
nobody
employee that
approached
has
with-
potentially going to be terminated, as long as they approach us, we can have a conversation in regards to a potential vote that we'll make in regards to that person's employment with Polk School District, or does that come before the board as a whole?
Is that a matter of full?
That's a different
Yeah,
issue.
I,
That goes to
yeah.
the superintendent.
yeah, that goes through, that doesn't come straight to us, that would be the
Yeah,
superintendent.
But in all of our trainings, it's been shoved down and thrown in our faces. You do not want to give any indication of wrongdoing by having those sidebar conversations in regards to anything that you will be voting on. In this case, we are being asked to vote on something that has serious implications for this county and the finances of this school system. And we've got a developer who has contacted and had conversations with the board members. Do we have the minutes from those conversations? Do we know what was said at those minutes, in those conversations?
I can tell you what was said in mine. Do I have any questions as to what this is, what this development is? And my answer is I can speak for me, but not for the board. And I have no questions. That does not violate any ethics.
Okay, if
Am I
there's no
correct,
other,
Rob?
Right.
and if there's no other points that we think we haven't covered,
Are
then
there any concerns with us having discussions with the developer? Sidebar discussions?
As long as they're factual and just designed to answer questions and not designed to influence.
Yeah, not to complain.
Not to complain.
I mean, that's direct, that's questions, don't we trying to predict the future? I mean,
I'll be honest, it's a sad day when, all I've been told, from the time I've came on here is there's things you don't do. Although there may not be any legal implications for sidebar conversations, it is highly suspicious in nature, and therefore, I think it's gonna, create, dissension and public trust with, our community.
Jeff, one thing I gotta say, I'm not Jeff, is that one thing about serving on the school board is that a lot of your decisions are based on some experience that you've had. You know, if you sat here long enough to have gone through the blood, the sweat, and the tears, but to come, all I'm saying is you need some experience to make proper decisions. And a lot of times decisions are made on inexperience, just because of pressure from the outside. And that's something that you gotta work on. You know, every decision that I've made on this board, I've actually asked the Lord to help me, Lord, help the board make the decisions that are best for the children, not just because somebody put something in my head. And you know, I think as time goes on, you learn how to listen and how where to put all of the mob stuff that comes in your ear. That's what.
So what you're saying is we're not experienced enough to make a decision for the board?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying some of your decisions you have made are based on experience and based on some of the things that you've gone through with the board. You know, yeah, you know, it is.
Well, I've spent 30 years in this district, right? I spent my first day here and my last day here teaching. So I've seen everything go on. And a majority of this board was here during some of the poorest financial decisions that got us to a point that we're at right now. I'm talking about absolutely broke us to a point where we're taking out TANs or taking out loans for payroll, we're scraping, we're doing away. Y'all were a part of those decisions. So,
You should have took some time off, Jeff, before you ran for the school board.
well,
Tired. I mean,
okay, at this time,
I was about to say, can we call
at
for
this
question?
time, we're gonna call for a vote.
I make a motion again that we table this, pending further discussion of the issues.
I second it.
All in favor of tabling this, raise your hand. All against, raise your hand. Okay, at this time, we're gonna take a vote on action item F, entering the TAD resolution. All in favor of entering the TAD?
Before we take the vote, can I have an announcement of potential conflicts from anyone on the board? As that is a requirement per the Georgia School Board Association.
Can you have what?
What?
I don't have any conflicts.
Does anybody have a conflict of interest that would influence your vote on this issue as far as a financial interest in the project itself? Or have you received, or been asked, or been given any sort of reward or anything in exchange for your vote? I mean, is there any sort of personal conflict? Not a personal conflict as to should I do this or should I not do this, but a financial interest of some kind that would influence your vote?
No.
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 Mr. Superintendent, do you have a position on this?
I've been advised by Rob that you are the ones that decide the taxes, and so he told me to stay neutral.
I call for the question. For our motion on acceptance of the TAD.
Okay, do I have a motion, we accept and enter in the TAD resolution, action item F? Mr. Madden, second by Mr. Morgan. All in favor of entering the TAD, with a show of hands. All in favor? There's 4. Did you get that one? All opposed? 2. We approve the entering of the TAD resolution. Okay. The next item on our agenda is board member comments. Does anybody have any positive things they'd like to share from this week as far as the school district? Okay.
I was happy to see Northside Elementary is having their pinto bean luncheon again this year.
Yes. That's a good one.
I like just to say that, coming up Monday is MLK walk, and I like to see many community that could be involved in it. Because Martin Luther King was not just for black folk, Hispanic youth, for everybody. So that walk is coming, starting Monday, and we usually walk from corner Rock and Thompson Street down to Sherman Holloway Park, and we have a church hosted this year, which is New Bethlehem Baptist Church in town, and there may be some famous people coming. I don't know, but that's going to be Monday. I like to see if everybody gets involved, especially I'll get your children involved. It's a day off. The theme is MLK Day is a day. That's a day off, not a day on. Well, a day on, not a day off. So anyway, so he was for everybody.
I'd just like to say is from our training this past week, I think I can share, like with Mr. Lumpkin and others, that there were a lot of things I saw in our training that can make us a lot better board. And some ideas I've gotten over the last few weeks, just watching different board meetings and members, sharing some of the things that, we know are good going on in the county besides just our comments. I like to look at other ways that we share some of the positive things, but also some of the things we learned that we could do better. I think putting that on our agenda for the next retreats is going to be a very positive move for our board. Anybody else? If not, the next order of business is executive session. Is there a need for executive session?
Yes, with personnel and legal matters.
Okay. Do I hear a motion? We move to executive session. Mr. Madden, second by Ms. Mays. All in favor? Do I hear a motion and a second that we come out of executive session? Mr. Madden and Dr. Clark. Okay. All in favor of coming out of executive session? Raise your hand. All. Okay, next order of business is personnel.
Yeah, I recommend the board approve the personnel actions as presented. All new personnel recommendations are pending a completion of a criminal background check and letter of release from previous school systems.
Okay, hearing the recommendation of the superintendent, all in favor of accepting personnel, or motion to accept personnel is Mr. Madden and Mr. Morgan. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, future meetings.
Yes, we will have our regular session meeting on our work session on February third, and then our regular board meeting the following week.
Do I hear a motion that we adjourn? Mr. Madden and Dr. Carter.
Sounds good.
All in favor?